Welcome, dreamer. Just let that word settle around you for a moment, soft as moss beneath bare feet, warm as sunlight filtering through leaves, quiet as dusk settling over a garden that has been breathing all day. You are here, and the world around you begins to loosen its edges, unraveling into softness. The air seems to dim and glow at the same time, as though twilight itself has paused beside you, waiting to guide you gently into a different way of seeing. Breathe. Slowly. As though the air were thick with the scent of rain and soil, cool and sweet as it slips into your lungs. Let your shoulders soften. Let your thoughts wander like drifting seeds. For tonight, we step into the quiet world that lives beneath the noise of our days, the world of roots and leaves, of stillness filled with secret motion, of life that moves too slowly for hurried eyes to notice. A world that invites you to rest. The green world. It begins not with sound, but with sensation, the hush of damp earth after rain, the faint warmth of light touching the back of your hand, the cool whisper of shade beneath branches. Even imagining it, you can feel yourself sinking into something older than memory, older than words. Plants have always lived in this world of softness and have always welcomed us, even when we forget to see them. They stand quietly at the edges of our days, their stillness mistaken for silence, their patience mistaken for passivity. But stillness is not the absence of life. It is another kind of life entirely. If you listen, not with your ears, but with the part of you that understands slowness, you can feel their presence. The gentle rhythm of leaves. The deep, steady breath of roots. The subtle hum of 1,000 cells turning sunlight into life. Even the smallest blade of grass is a miracle of quiet intelligence, listening, sensing, adjusting, reaching for light it has never seen before, knowing just how to grow without ever being taught. Imagine for a moment that you are standing at the edge of a forest. The air is soft and cool, carrying scents that drift like memories, damp soil, fallen leaves, a hint of pine and something sweet you can't quite name. A gentle breeze moves through the canopy, and the leaves shimmer as if whispering a welcome. Plants move, you know. Not fast, not suddenly, but in slow rhythms that unfold like breathing. A tendril curls toward warmth. A stem leans toward light. Roots spread downward in deliberate exploration, searching through darkness with a sensing ability so fine it could find a droplet of water in a desert of soil. Nothing in this world is accidental. Nothing is without purpose. You breathe in again, and the air feels fuller, smoother, as though it carries a softness you didn't notice before. That softness is the breath of plants. Every leaf that stretches toward the sun is quietly shaping the air around you, drawing in carbon dioxide, weaving light into sugar, and sending out oxygen that slips gently into your lungs with every inhale you take. Plants breathe out what we breathe in, and we breathe out what they breathe in. A perfect exchange. A conversation older than humanity itself. You can almost hear it now, a faint hum under the surface of the world, the soundless sound of chlorophyll absorbing sunlight, turning it into energy with the ease of a miracle performed 1 billion times a day. Photosynthesis, the alchemy of green life, is happening all around you in every leaf you've ever seen. But tonight, you don't need the science yet. You just need to feel it, as warmth, as peace, as the soft glow of something ancient and endlessly kind. Plants are listeners. They hear through vibration, sense through touch, respond to light and scent, feel the slightest change in air. They know when dawn is coming before the horizon brightens. They know when rain is near before clouds appear. They know when another plant is suffering, and they share their sugars, their strength, their warning signals through networks older than any language we speak. But for now, you lie in the hush of twilight, and the green world rises around you like a gentle tide. Moss cushions your thoughts. Leaves filter the last golden traces of day. Roots murmur beneath the earth, soft pulses traveling through soil like distant footfalls of time itself. The intelligence of plants does not hurry. It does not grasp. It does not chase. It simply responds, adapts, endures, grows. And you, listening now, begin to feel your own breath slowing to match theirs. Longer inhales. Softer exhales. A rhythm that feels steady, safe, ancient. You imagine touching the trunk of a tree that has stood through storms and droughts, through seasons of abundance and seasons of rest. Its bark is cool beneath your fingers. Textured like layered stories, each ring a memory of a year lived quietly. Plants do not forget. They store sunlight as sugar. They store stress as chemical memory. They store water in hidden chambers. They store wisdom in the patterns of their growth. Their lives are written in curves and spirals, in branching and unfolding, in reaching and rooting. Even now, as the world dims, you can feel them, thousands of small, living motions happening at once, a leaf adjusting its angle to sip the last light, a flower closing its petals for night, a vine sensing the presence of a nearby support and beginning its slow, patient climb. Everywhere, plants are moving in silence. And you, resting in this moment, are finally slow enough to feel them. The light grows dimmer still. The sky deepens into indigo, and the first stars sprinkle into view like tiny blossoms blooming in the night. The world around you breathes deeply, and you breathe with it, in and out, each breath slower than the one before. The hush of night settles over leaves and soil, cool and soft. Even in darkness, plants remain awake in their own way, their roots exploring, their cells humming, their energy flowing gently from place to place. You imagine a forest in moonlight, branches still, yet full of quiet intention, leaves silvered with light, their veins glowing softly, the earth pulsing with subtle warmth from the day's stored sun. Nothing here rushes. Nothing here worries. Life unfolds in patient spirals, in seasons rather than seconds, in growth measured not by urgency but by trust. And in this green world, you find a part of yourself that has been waiting to rest, a part that longs for slowness, for gentleness, for breathing without the weight of time. Let yourself drift into that stillness now. Let the quiet green hum fill your mind like a soft lullaby. Let your thoughts settle like leaves floating downward onto warm soil. Because in this calm, beneath the hush of twilight, you begin to sense it, the truth that has always lived beneath the noise of our days. Plants are not silent. They speak in the language of growth, in the whispers of roots, in the murmurs of leaves drinking light. They are dreaming all around us, and all they ask is that we slow down long enough to hear them. And in the hush between heartbeats, you can almost hear the green world dreaming. And from that soft moment where the green world drifts into its dreaming, another sensation begins to stir, a warmth rising gently through the quiet, as steady as breath, as patient as dawn waiting behind the horizon. You feel it first as a memory of brightness, a glow blooming somewhere behind your closed eyes. Not harsh, not sudden, but like the slow unfurling of morning light through a curtain of leaves. Light, the oldest teacher the earth has ever known. It touches everything without urgency, softening edges, warming soil, awakening colors that hid quietly through the night. Every shade of green begins with light. Every leaf is shaped by it, leaning toward it, learning from it through a language older than seasons, older than forests, older than roots themselves. You breathe in, and the air feels a little warmer, as though it carries tiny particles of daylight woven into its softness. Your breath blends with that warmth, your body remembering the glow of sun the way leaves remember. In this tender warmth, you feel yourself rising into the next layer of the green world, the place where everything begins with a beam of light and unfolds from there. Imagine sunlight drifting through dense canopy, falling in slow golden threads onto moss that glows like soft velvet. Dust motes hover in gentle spirals, turning and shimmering as if they're dancing to a rhythm only the leaves can hear. Each mote is a messenger carrying light deeper into the forest, guiding your eyes into the quiet radiance that plants drink from. Light is not just illumination. It is nourishment, instruction, story, energy woven into matter with the softest touch. You might imagine each leaf as a small, living library filled with green pages lined with stories of sunlight. In those thin pages, a miraculous exchange happens, a quiet alchemy that no human hand could replicate with such grace. Photosynthesis. But tonight, the word feels too sharp, too small for what truly unfolds inside a leaf. Instead, think of it as light learning how to become life. Inside the leaf, molecules of chlorophyll lie waiting, small nets of green pigment woven through cells like tiny hammocks catching sunlight. When the sun's energy touches them, a subtle vibration begins, delicate and purposeful. It begins with a single photon, a particle of light older than your worries, younger than the moment it touches the leaf. This photon has traveled millions of miles from the heart of the sun, crossing space, passing through air, slipping between clouds until it lands on a surface no thicker than a whisper. The leaf receives it. Not with noise, but with stillness. The chlorophyll catches it like a soft breath, holding it just long enough for magic to begin. Energy flows inward, moving through molecules like water moving down a gentle stream. Electrons shift, sparked awake by the photon's touch. A quiet dance begins, one electron passing energy to the next, and the next, and the next, each step unfolding in silence, each movement precise as though choreographed by the sun itself. This dance becomes sugar, the sweet, living fuel that plants use to grow, to stretch, to open, to bloom. And from that sugar comes everything, the firmness of a stem, the softness of a petal, the resilience of bark, the scent of a flower. Light becomes sweetness. Sweetness becomes growth. Growth becomes the forest that breathes around you now. Plants take sunlight and transform it into the oxygen you draw in with every slow inhale. When you breathe, you are not just taking in air, you are receiving the quiet gift of 1,000 leaves working in harmony. You breathe out, and plants breathe in. They breathe out, and you breathe in. An endless exchange of generosity, a partnership so ancient it has become part of the world's heartbeat. You feel that partnership now as a warm, gentle presence resting against your skin. The light of the world moves through every part of you, the warmth of past summers stored deep in your cells, the glow of afternoons resting behind your ribs. Even your breath seems to shimmer with a quiet golden hue as you sink deeper into this story. In your mind's eye, you see a single beam of sunlight touch the surface of a leaf. You watch as that beam divides into countless fragments of energy, shimmering through cells like green glass windows glowing from within. Each cell is a chamber of alchemy, a sanctuary for transformation. There is no hurry, no strain, no burning flame. Only quiet efficiency, measured in slow breath and soft rhythm. Plants do not rush to catch the sun. They unfurl slowly, calmly, trusting that the light will return because it always has. They grow toward it with devotion, with intention, with the kind of patience you can feel settling into your body as the narration slows and your breath deepens. Imagine lying beneath a tall tree now, its leaves stirring gently, each one glowing with soft green light. Sunlight filters through them, scattering patterns on your skin like faint echoes of the leaf's internal dance. You close your eyes, and the patterns remain, warm, shifting, soft as the brush of a feather. The light teaches the leaf when to open, when to close, when to grow, when to rest. And in its own way, light teaches you too. The warmth tells you when to wake. The dusk tells you when to soften. The cool shade invites your breath to slow. The long afternoon glow reminds you that stillness can also nourish. Plants understand this effortlessly. They read light the way you read emotions, instinctively, deeply, wordlessly. A leaf knows the difference between morning light and afternoon light. It knows how to angle itself to gather exactly what it needs. It knows how to save energy when the sky darkens or clouds drift across the sun. Light is their teacher and their companion, their source of life and their guide. You feel that guidance now as your mind drifts further into the warmth and quiet of this section. Thoughts slow. Tension melts. Your breath becomes lighter and deeper at once, moving through your lungs with the rhythm of a breeze through the branches above you. Imagine yourself as a leaf for a moment, a soft, vibrant surface filled with green life. You are held gently by a branch, balanced, supported. Light touches you, and you lift toward it without effort, without thought. The warmth fills you with a sense of purpose, of direction, of quiet joy. Light moves into you, through you, and becomes part of you in a way that feels natural, harmonious, complete. You inhale, and somewhere deep inside, you sense that same transformation reflected in your body. Energy shifts. Muscles loosen. Worries dissolve into the glow of the present moment. Sunlight is a story, and plants have been reading it for millions of years. Tonight, you are reading alongside them. Allow your imagination to drift upward, beyond the canopy now. The sky opens wide, a soft, endless blue with sunlight drifting through its quiet expanses. High above, the sun glows with ancient fire, yet the warmth that reaches you feels tender, gentle, carried across distance like a message meant just for you. Light streams downward in perfect silence, touching oceans, fields, mountain ridges, the smallest seedling emerging from soil. Every beam holds the potential for life. Every leaf holds the wisdom to receive it. And you, breathing softly now, feel that wisdom settling around you like a luminous comfort. Light teaches plants how to live. Tonight, it teaches you how to rest. You feel the glow fading into softness, slipping into the slower rhythm of evening thought. The warmth eases, the colors darken slightly, and the green world begins its transition into deeper calm. Somewhere between breath and quiet, you hear it, a hum so faint it feels like the memory of sound. The silent hymn rising from every leaf, every blade of grass, every moss-covered stone. Light becoming life. Life becoming breath. Breath becoming stillness. And from every leaf, a silent hymn rises, the soundless song of light becoming life. And from that soft, luminous hymn rising from every leaf, a quieter note begins to call you downward, lower than branches, lower than moss, into the cool, shadowed world where light does not reach yet life thrives all the same. It begins as a sensation of sinking gently, as though the earth itself is opening its arms and inviting you closer. The warmth of sunlight softens into the cool hush of soil, a temperature shift so tender it feels like slipping beneath a soft blanket on a slow autumn evening. You feel the world grow dimmer, not darker, dim the way closed eyes feel, dim like the warmth beneath your covers, dim like the quiet spaces where roots begin their dreaming. The soil breathes differently here. You can almost hear it, a faint, grainy whisper of particles settling, of moisture sliding between stones, of life moving at a pace too slow for the daylit world to notice. But you notice. Your breath matches it, falling into a slower rhythm as though your inhale is following the gentle pull of roots growing deeper, seeking water, seeking balance, seeking the soft memory of rain stored deep within the earth. Imagine the soil beneath a forest floor, cool, dark, rich. Every handful holds billions of unseen lives, bacteria, fungi, tiny roots as fine as strands of hair. All of them humming, exchanging, learning from one another in ways more ancient than any whispered story. Roots do not simply anchor plants. They explore. They map the underground world inch by inch, finding pockets of nutrients, sipping droplets of water, reading subtle shifts in the Earth's chemistry as though reading letters in a buried book. You imagine those roots now, long, gentle threads stretching through soil, touching stones, curling around fragments of old leaves that became earth long ago. Their surfaces glisten with thin sheaths of moisture, each drop reflecting the little light that finds its way through cracks and hollows. The deeper you drift, the more the world around you feels alive, as though the soil itself has a pulse. It moves slowly, softly, a silent tide of minerals and microbes shifting in their ancient dance. And then, almost imperceptible at first, you sense another presence woven through this underground quiet, a vast, delicate web stretching in all directions. It feels like silk woven from moonlight and memory, a network so intricate you could spend a lifetime tracing it and still discover new threads. This is the mycorrhizal web, the fungal network that connects trees and plants in a communion older than cities, older than written language, older than the very soil it weaves through. You imagine thin white threads branching outward from roots, reaching for other roots, touching, merging, exchanging messages the way wind exchanges stories with tall grass. Through these threads, trees share sugars with their shaded neighbors, helping saplings survive in places where light rarely falls. They send warnings of drought and insects, chemical whispers that ripple through the darkness like murmurs across a sleeping crowd. The forest, from above, looks like countless individual trees. But below, beneath the fallen leaves and the slow crumbling of bark, lies a different truth. They are one organism, one community, bound by threads too small to see yet powerful enough to guide an entire ecosystem. You breathe in softly as this realization settles around you. The soil beneath forests is not silent. It is not empty. It is a living map of communication and memory, a place where the past is stored in chemical signatures, in slow pulses, in faint electrical signals moving through roots the way thoughts move through the quiet folds of your mind. Roots carry memory. Not memory of images or moments or emotions the way humans do, but memory of presence, of droughts endured, of winters survived, of floods and fires. And gentle springs where water ran plentiful and sun warmed the earth just enough. A plant remembers when the soil dries too quickly. It remembers when nutrients were scarce and stores that memory in the way its roots branch, in the chemical paths they leave behind. Roots are historians of the earth's quiet moods. And as you drift deeper into this underground calm, your breath following the slow tempos of hidden life, you sense how this memory extends beyond a single plant. The fungi listen. The bacteria respond. The soil shifts as messages pass from root tip to root tip like soft vibrations along a buried harp. In this dim world, life is slow but exquisitely connected. You can almost feel it now, lines of communication running beneath forests, under fields, beneath your feet whenever you walk on grass. A whispering network that stretches for miles, carrying nutrients from where they are abundant to where they are needed. Carrying warnings. Carrying comfort. Carrying the quiet wisdom of patience. Imagine touching a root gently with your fingertips. It feels firm, cool, slightly rough like thin rope. But beneath that surface, cells pulse with tiny electrical signals no different in principle from the signals that travel through your own nerves. Plants cannot move from place to place, so they built a world where information moves for them. Slowly, steadily, but always in motion. Even now, in this soft imagining, you can sense that motion, not fast, not loud, but like a slow heartbeat echoing through soil that has held stories for millions of years. The forest floor above you feels more distant now, yet more connected. The rustle of leaves, the call of a bird, the shift of wind are all part of the same symphony that roots listen to in their own quiet way. Roots sense gravity, water, the presence of stones, the chemical signature of neighbors and strangers. They adjust their growth accordingly, seeking pathways that lead to nourishment, avoiding competition, reaching toward the faint promise of deeper moisture. Their journey is one of intuition, guided by signals so subtle they lie beyond the reach of our waking senses. But not beyond your imagination. Down here, in this calm darkness, it feels as though you, too, can sense a faint pull toward life, toward connection, toward the soft shimmering threads that hold the underground world together. You follow that pull now, drifting along a route that stretches deeper and deeper into cool earth. Tiny root hairs brush past you like soft feathers, absorbing droplets of water with delicate precision. The water tastes of minerals, of old rain, of the memory of clouds. It carries the faintest echo of oceans that existed long before forests. Roots drink from this memory. And in doing so, they keep the world alive. The deeper you drift, the more the air feels still, as if time itself is moving slower here. Your breath naturally lengthens, matching the rhythm of this deep, ancient place. You sense how roots branch outward in search of nutrient-rich soil, their growth purposeful, thoughtful even. When they find a new source of what they need, they share it through the network with their neighbors. No plant stands alone. No forest grows in isolation. Even the trees that tower hundreds of feet above the earth depend on the threads that weave through the soil like the neural pathways of a vast, living mind. You feel held in the awareness of that connection, as though the earth is sharing its wisdom through silence. The underground world has its own kind of patience, its own kind of faith, its own kind of memory. And as you linger here, you can feel a small piece of that ancient calm settling inside you, steadying your thoughts, rooting your breath in stillness. Somewhere far above, a leaf shifts, a branch sways, a patch of sunlight brightens, but down here, everything remains slow, steady, and deeply peaceful. The forest grows not only upward toward light, but downward toward memory. Downward into a world that remembers every season, every fallen tree, every drop of rain that ever touched the soil and drifted inward. The underground breath is soft and continuous, carrying stories through roots and fungi in earth. You drift with that breath for a moment longer, feeling the calm seep into every part of you, until the entire forest feels like a single living being holding you gently in its quiet pulse. And as you linger in this deep, rooted stillness, you can sense it, the unseen conversation that carries on whether the world is watching or fast asleep. Beneath the forest's silence, an unseen conversation continues, slow, steady, eternal. And from that slow, hidden conversation woven through the soil like memory itself, you feel a subtle lift, a gentle upward pull as though the roots beneath you are guiding your breath toward the quiet world above. The darkness of the underground begins to soften, brightening not with sudden light but with something softer, a pale green glow like dawn filtering through closed eyelids. You rise with it, slowly, easily, as if carried by the pulse of the earth exhaling beneath you. The air grows cooler first, fresher, tinged with the faint sweetness of leaves waiting in stillness. You feel moisture in the air, a soft humidity that rests lightly on your skin. Somewhere above, you sense movement, a million slender bodies lifting, swaying, shimmering in a breeze too gentle to be anything but breath. Leaves. So many leaves. Layers upon layers of green, each one a quiet marvel, each one a living panel through which the sky and the tree and the earth speak to one another. As you rise into the arms of the canopy, the world opens slowly. You drift between branches, your breath deepening as light shifts through the leaves in moving patterns, soft gold, cool emerald, shimmering patches of silver where sunlight catches the edges of green veins. The forest around you feels alive with movement. Not hurried movement, not frantic, but a gentle sway, a constant, peaceful adjusting as leaves turn toward warmth, toward wind, toward everything they have learned to sense in their own quiet language. You find yourself floating within a sea of green. Leaves stretch outward like hands catching the softness of daylight. Each one glows faintly as sunlight filters through, revealing the delicate lacework of veins within, veins that carry water, nutrients, and the memory of rain from root to sky. This is where the forest breathes. Where water becomes wind, where movement becomes rhythm, where the entire world exhales through green mouths too small to see unless you lean very close. Millions of tiny openings, called stomata, rest on each leaf like invisible doorways. When the day warms, they open. When the air cools, they close. A slow, deliberate pulse, the breath of the trees, the breath of the world. Through these tiny portals, water rises from root to sky, drawn upward by the cohesion of molecules clinging to one another like friends holding hands on a long journey. The water moves upward in a single, continuous column through slender tubes in the trunk, a quiet ascent powered not by force, but by evaporation from the leaves. As each droplet slips into air, a soft pull ripples downward, drawing more water toward it, and more, a chain of movement that never breaks. This is transpiration, the forest's breath, the gentle lift that cools the earth, moves clouds, shapes weather, and gives rise to the breeze that brushes against your cheek now. You can almost feel the upward motion in your own breathing, air rising through your lungs, expanding your ribs, lifting your chest as though you, too, are part of this vast cycle of give and receive. You inhale, and the scent of leaves fills your mind, fresh, clean, a little sweet, a little earthy. A scent that feels like the color green made into air. The canopy rustles gently, a soft language spoken in movement and sound. Leaves tremble as wind passes through them, brushing their surfaces with cool fingers. Each rustle is a whisper of water becoming sky. Each flutter is a reminder that even the tallest tree begins each day with a patient exhale. As you drift among the leaves, you sense how connected they are, not physically, but rhythmically, breathing together in patterns shaped by sunlight, temperature, and time. Every leaf is a small heart, beating in slow green pulses that shape the air you breathe. And the more you listen, the more you feel your own breath falling into harmony with the forest's. You inhale, long and slow. The leaves shimmer. You exhale, longer still. The canopy settles in a sigh so soft it feels like memory. High above, sunlight filters through gaps in the branches in golden shafts that look almost solid, as though you could reach out and rest your hand in their warmth. Each shaft illuminates drifting particles of water vapor, rising and disappearing in slow motion. This vapor is the breath of the leaves, lifting into the sky, cooling the air, forming clouds that will someday return as rain. The cycle repeats with patient grace. Nothing rushed. Nothing forced. Only movement born from stillness. You imagine a single drop of water being drawn upward, from root to trunk, from trunk to branch, from branch to leaf, from leaf to sky. The journey is long, but every part of the tree helps it rise, guiding it toward the moment it becomes mist floating on a sunlit breeze. As the droplet finally reaches the air, carried by the leaf's soft exhale, it cools the world by the faintest degree, a tiny gesture, yet multiplied by billions of leaves across forests and fields, it becomes a force that shapes climates and softens seasons. Plants are the lungs that cool the planet, quietly, continuously. You feel a breeze now, gentle and steady, moving through the canopy with the grace of a low, calming sigh. The leaves sway in response, their edges brushing against one another in soft murmurs. This breeze is shaped by the forest itself, born from the invisible lift of transpiration. The trees breathe, and the wind carries their breath through valleys, over hills, across rivers. Even your skin feels cooler because of it. Even your thoughts feel lighter as you drift deeper into the forest's slow exhale. The branches above you form patterns against the sky, fractals of green, delicate silhouettes dancing on currents of air so subtle they feel like the forest's own heartbeat. You drift closer to a single leaf, noticing how thin it is, how soft, how alive with light. The veins shine faintly like rivers on a tiny green map, guiding water toward the center, toward the edges, toward every tip that reaches out for sunlight. The leaf's surface is cool to the touch, yet radiant beneath, warm from the sun that has passed through it all day long. It feels like touching a moment of calm. You sense the leaf breathing in water from its roots, breathing out vapor into the air, the same air you draw slowly into your lungs. There is no distinction now between your breath and the breath of the forest. Every inhale carries the cool mist lifted by leaves. Every exhale becomes part of the air that trees will drink come morning. The cycle is complete, and you rest within it, held gently by the pulse of green life flowing through everything. The forest does not hurry to breathe. It does not force air. It simply opens, releases, opens again. A rhythm as old as wind, as soft as sleep, as constant as the turning of the earth. Your breath follows it now, each inhale slower than the last, each exhale deeper, the rise and fall of your chest mirroring the sway of branches in the quiet afternoon light. The leaves shimmer, and the canopy hums with the pulse of water rising and drifting skyward, a soft exhalation that cools the world, cools your mind, cools your tired thoughts into stillness. The deeper you breathe, the more your body listens to this ancient rhythm. The more you listen, the more you feel your own breath becoming part of the forest's long, unbroken sigh. And somewhere high above, where sunlight touches the tallest crowns of the oldest trees, a final whisper of breeze moves through the forest, a soft, collective exhale that ripples through leaves and settles your thoughts into calm. The forest exhales, and so do you. And from the slow, leafy breath that settles the canopy into calm, another presence begins to stir, soft at first, almost shy, like color awakening behind the eyelids of the world. It rises through the green hush as a gentle shifting of light, a quiet brightening, a glow blooming in the spaces between leaves. You feel it before you see it, a faint sweetness gathering in the air, warming the breeze with notes of honey, of dusk, of petals just beginning to open. The forest changes here. Not abruptly, but like the slow turn of a face toward sunlight. The deep greens soften into hues touched by gold, pink, violet, saffron, white as breath on winter air. Flowers. The quiet voices of the plant world, each one speaking in a language of color, of scent, of movement so delicate you might miss it if your mind is hurried. But you are not hurried now. Your breath is steady, your senses open, and the world around you unfolds petal by petal, revealing the secret songs flowers have always sung to those who know how to listen. You drift through the canopy as it lowers into a gentler, more intimate realm. Branches thin into twigs, twigs soften into stems, and the world becomes a celebration of subtle color, a tapestry woven by sunlight and the dreams of plants. Imagine a clearing where warm air gathers like a quiet sigh. The earth is soft beneath you, carpeted with moss and fallen petals that feel like silk under your fingertips. You kneel there in thought, and you hear it, the faint hum that flowers send into the world. Not a sound your ears would recognize, but the kind of hum you feel in your chest, in your pulse, in the soft spaces between breaths. It is the hum of color catching sunlight. The hum of petals opening with slow determination. The hum of nectar being drawn upward through slender vessels fine as threads of moonlight. This hum has been part of the earth long before humans learned to speak. You sense it now as you lean closer to a single bloom, a petal curved gently outward, thin as memory, soft as exhaled air. The flower glows with its own quiet fire, radiance stored from days and days of listening to light. Its surface is cool against your skin, yet beneath that coolness lies a pulse of warmth, the warmth of sunlight transformed into sweetness. This is where the secret songs begin. Flowers do not sing with sound. They sing with color. With fragrance. With the electric shimmer of patterns no human eye can see without help. Bees see them. Moths see them. Butterflies trace the ultraviolet paths painted across petals like glowing invitations. Imagine these patterns, invisible to you in ordinary day, but luminous now in the soft dream you drift within. Lines of light trace from the tip of each petal toward its center, guiding pollinators the way lanterns guide travelers in fog. The flower's scent is another verse in its song, a message carried by the softest breeze. You breathe it in, cool and sweet, with notes of earth and summer and evening rain. It settles gently in your lungs, expanding with your breath and easing your thoughts into deeper stillness. Scent travels far. Farther than petals, farther than color. It drifts through air, finding the wings that can carry pollen from one bloom to another, helping life spread in rhythms older than the turning of seasons. Some flowers release fragrance only at night, calling to moths whose wings shimmer like folded moonlight. Others bloom at dawn, flooding early air with sweetness that stirs bees awake. Every flower knows its moment. Knows its partners. Knows the soft dance between giving and receiving that makes forests bloom and fields sway with seeds yet to come. You drift deeper into this blooming world, watching a bee hover near a cluster of blossoms. Its wings hum with patient excitement. It feels the electric field of each petal, a subtle vibration that tells it where to land. You watch as it settles on the soft surface, its tiny feet dusting against pollen shimmering like gold powder. It drinks. It gathers. It rises. And the flower beneath it tilts ever so slightly, as though grateful for the brief moment of connection. This is communication, the gentle exchange between plant and pollinator, between stillness and motion, between the grounded and the winged. Pollination is a love story written in color and scent, carried between creatures who never speak yet understand one another with perfect clarity. As you breathe in, you sense the coordination, flowers opening when their partners awaken, closing when the day grows too hot or too dark or too long. Some petals curl inward at sunset, protecting their pollen as though tucking it into soft beds. Others bloom only briefly, a single morning, a single hour, as fleeting as a sigh. But even in their brevity, they change the world. They feed it. They color it. They remind it how beautiful life can be when it opens itself to light and wind and possibility. As you drift among them, the colors seem to deepen, pink warming into rose, violet softening into lavender, white shining like the quiet glow of early stars. Each color feels like an emotion the plant is offering to the world. And beneath the colors, the science hums gently, pigments absorbing light, molecules shaped over millions of years to attract exactly the right eyes, exactly the right wings. Some flowers send signals through temperature. The center of a blossom may grow warmer than the surrounding air, inviting pollinators into a cradle of heat on cool mornings. Others send signals through vibration, releasing pollen only when a bee buzzes at the perfect frequency, a pitch that shakes loose the golden dust and lets the cycle continue. Flowers feel the world in ways so subtle they seem like magic, but magic, after all, is only science spoken in a language we have not learned yet. You breathe in again, and the air feels lighter, softer, scented with blooms that open only in dreams. The world slows, as though petals are falling gently through your thoughts, one by one, like quiet notes in a silent song. The deeper you drift, the more your body relaxes, hands softening, shoulders loosening, breath falling into long unhurried waves. Even the colors seem to move more slowly, as though they are floating in warm water. You watch them blur, then shift, then settle into calm hues that soothe the mind and quiet the heart. Imagine a flower closing now, its petals folding inward like arms wrapping around a precious memory. The air cools slightly as dusk approaches, and the fragrance changes, growing deeper, richer, a lullaby of scent woven into the wind. Another flower opens nearby, white and luminous in the gathering dimness. Some flowers bloom at night, their petals unfolding like pale lanterns, calling to creatures that only wake when the sun sleeps. Moths drift toward them, their wings soft as breathing. Each landing is a tiny, whispered meeting between worlds, the grounded and the airborne, the rooted and the wandering. You feel the unity in these moments. The harmony of cycles aligns so perfectly that even in silence, the forest feels like a choir. Flowers do not sing loudly. Their songs are soft, delicate, carried by fragrance, color, movement, electric whisper. A language spoken in slow rhythms that match your breath now, steady and calm. The forest's colors dim gently as though the day is lowering its voice, letting petals rest, letting nectar cool, letting the world prepare for the long quiet of night. And as everything settles, you drift with it, mind loosening, breath deepening, heart resting in the hush of flowers closing around you like a soft embrace. Every bloom is a message, written in light and carried on wings. And from the soft messages carried on wings, from the colors that dim gently into evening, another sensation begins to unfurl, a feeling not of movement, but of rhythm. A rhythm older than petals, older than roots, older even than the forests that cradle you now. It rises slowly, like the first hint of dawn touching the quiet edge of a sleeping world. A pulse. Steady. Subtle. Green. You feel it first as a slight shift in the air, as though the forest itself is taking a deeper breath. The leaves above you still from their gentle swaying. The petals around you soften into stillness. The entire world seems to pause, listening inward. Plants live in time in ways we rarely see, for their clocks do not follow seconds or hours or any measure small enough for humans to hold in their hands. They follow light. They follow darkness. They follow warmth and coolness and the slow turning of the earth beneath the sun. You drift with that turning now, your breath falling into long, slow cycles, like shadows lengthening on moss as evening settles. The forest feels different at this hour, softer, deeper, as though the plants around you are folding themselves into the old rhythm that guides all life from sunrise to sunset and back again. This rhythm lives inside every leaf, every stem, every root. Cells open and close at precise moments, proteins rise and fall in gentle waves, and deep inside, chemical clocks keep time with the same quiet certainty that stars keep time with their own burning. Circadian rhythm. The inner clock. But tonight, the words feel too sharp for something so tender. Instead, you sense it simply as the pulse of green time, a steady, living heartbeat that plants feel in every fiber of their being. Imagine a single leaf resting in the dim light. Its edges curl just slightly as night approaches, closing its pores, slowing its breath, saving water with a wisdom older than any forest. Plants rest. They truly rest. Their chemical rhythms shift into a slower pattern, their cells quiet themselves, their energy settles inward. You feel this shift deep in your own body. It moves through you the way dusk moves through a field, gently, inevitably, comfortingly. Your heartbeat softens. Your breath deepens. Thoughts fall into longer, quieter arcs like falling leaves drifting through cool air. In this softness, you begin to sense that plants measure time not by counting, but by remembering. A sunflower remembers the direction of dawn. It turns its face to the east even before the first rays appear. It knows where the light will come from, because it has felt millions of mornings before this one. A vine remembers which direction it once found support, curling its tendrils toward that memory even after days have passed. Seeds remember their seasons, wading through cold nights, enduring quiet darkness, until warmth and moisture and daylight whisper that it is time to wake. And deep beneath bark, trees remember the passing years, their rings widening and narrowing with every drought, every winter, every generous spring. Time moves slowly for the green world. So slowly that the rhythms become almost invisible, blending into seasons and moonlight and the steady hum of living earth. But if you listen, if you breathe long enough, you'll feel those rhythms aligning with your own. You are drifting in them now, your breath rising as leaves lift toward dawn, your breath falling as petals close in evening. Your thoughts slowing in harmony with the ancient beats that guide roots into darkness and stems toward sky. Imagine the forest in early morning. The light is pale, silver blue, quiet. Leaves tilt upward almost imperceptibly, opening their stomata to welcome the day. Their inner clocks have told them the sun is coming, even before its warmth touches their edges. Now imagine that same forest in late afternoon, sunlight golden, shadows long. The leaves relax, their pores narrowing, their edges loosening as the day exhales into evening. Every plant in the world follows this slow choreography, opening, closing, stretching, resting. The pulse of green time moving through them like a soft, timeless melody. You drift deeper into this melody as your breath settles again. Your chest rises with the ease of a leaf lifting to greet early light. Your shoulders fall with the softness of petals folding in dusk. Plants sense more than we imagine. They feel the length of daylight. They feel the arrival of seasons before weather shifts. They feel the pull of gravity, the whisper of vibrations moving through soil, the faint cues that tell them when to bloom, when to fruit, when to let go of the year's last leaves. This sensing is not frantic or anxious. It is calm, receptive, deeply patient. Plants never rush. They do not worry about time. They simply move within it, trusting its cycles, trusting the return of light, of rain, of warmth. You sense that trust now, a feeling like soft roots growing through your thoughts, steadying you, grounding you, reminding you that your own timing can be slow. Natural. Gentle. Enough. Imagine a leaf tracking the sun as it arcs overhead. Slowly, smoothly, with a precision that feels like devotion. You sense that arc in your breath, each inhale lifting you slightly, each exhale settling you deeper into quiet. Night drifts closer in this dream space, not with darkness but with softness. The light grows cooler, the shadows delicate, and the plants around you adjust once more, their rhythms slipping into the tender lull of evening. A leaf lowers just slightly. A flower folds its petals inward. The air changes its tone, cooler, heavier, calmer. Even the soil beneath you seems to breathe more slowly. You drift with it, your mind loosening as green time wraps around you. The forest moves through cycles not measured by seconds, but by the rise and fall of light. By the memory of season and shadow. By the quiet conversation between roots and sky. And within these cycles, you feel yourself becoming more still, more open, more attuned to the natural rhythm that beats quietly beneath all life. Plants teach patience without words. They teach presence without effort. They teach that time is not something to chase, but something to breathe with. You breathe now, slow and quiet, as though your breath is a soft green glow filling the space around you. The last light of evening touches the canopy, fading gently into blue. The forest prepares for rest. And you, held in the same rhythm, feel the world slowing into calm. Moments stretch like soft threads, carrying you deeper into stillness. Thoughts fade into quiet shapes, like leaves drifting on a cool stream. And somewhere in this gentle transition, you sense the truth woven through every blade of grass, every stem, every root. Time does not rush in the green world. It expands, softens, breathes. It waits for warmth, for rain, for light. It remembers the places where life has been, and trusts the place where life is going. You let this truth settle into you, quiet and warm, like evening sunlight resting on your skin. And as the forest gives itself to the long breath of night, you feel it, the tender weight of green time resting in your own heartbeat, slow, steady, present. And time moves through every leaf, not as hours, but as light remembered. And from the soft memory of light that lingers in every leaf, a deeper awareness begins to rise, quiet, slow, as though the entire forest is inhaling the night and opening its senses to the darkness. The pulse of green time settles into the earth like a whisper, and from that whisper, a new truth unfurls: plants do not simply live. They feel. They listen. They respond to the world around them with a grace so subtle we often miss it. But here, in this gentle stillness, you can feel what they feel. You can listen the way they listen. The forest invites you into its quiet awareness, a place where sensation moves slower than breath and deeper than thought. As you drift upward through the cooling air, the canopy stretches around you in dark silhouettes. The sky has deepened into a soft navy blue, and the first stars blink awake like tiny seeds of light scattered across a vast field. The plants beneath those stars shift their awareness toward the night. You sense it, a faint vibration moving through stems, through roots, through petals closing gently like tired hands. This vibration is not loud, not sharp, but like the trembling of a spider's web when touched by a small breeze. It is the language of sensation, carried through cells that know how to touch the world without ever moving fast. Plants feel the brush of wind before it reaches their leaves. They sense the weight of a footstep before the soil is pressed. They taste chemicals on air from creatures passing by, reading messages in scents and subtle changes in humidity. Even now, as you breathe slowly, so quietly, the plants around you sense the warmth rising from your skin. Not with eyes, not with ears, but through small receptors that respond to the faintest shift in air. Imagine standing gently beside a tall reed. If you run your fingertips along its stalk, it will register the touch, cells within it responding with electrical impulses, not unlike the impulses that travel through your own nerves. These impulses move slowly, like a long sigh passing through tissue, but they move with purpose, carrying information from leaf to stem, from stem to root. Some plants close their leaves when touched, folding in with surprising swiftness, as though the world is too much, too sudden, and they need a moment to protect themselves. Others lean toward sound. Experiments have shown that roots grow toward the subtle vibrations of flowing water even when no moisture touches the soil. Plants listen to the quiet music of the earth. And in this slow, dreamlike moment, you listen with them. The ground beneath you hums softly, a vibration so low you feel it more in your bones than in your ears. It's the sound of roots drinking. Of stems adjusting. Of leaves responding to the shift from day to night. A gentle breeze touches your cheek. You feel it lightly, but the leaves feel it first, their surfaces rippling in small waves as mechanoreceptors awaken to the change. They do not panic. They do not brace. They simply respond, calmly, with movements shaped by evolution and patience. The breeze carries scents, wet soil, cool stone, the sweetness of distant blossoms still open in the dim light. Plants taste these scents, reading chemical signals that tell them who is near, what has changed, what comes next. Some flowers release fragrances in direct response to being touched. A brush of a moth's wing against a petal can trigger a bloom to sweeten its scent, inviting the pollinator to linger just a moment longer. Other plants sense the vibrations of insects munching on their leaves, not by seeing, not by hearing, but by feeling the rhythm of tiny jaws at work. In response, they change their chemistry, producing protective compounds that taste bitter or send signals through the mycorrhizal web to warn neighbors of the approaching danger. The forest feels. It feels everything. The coolness of night rests on its skin. The weight of dew collects in small pools on the edges of leaves. The soil tightens slightly as temperature falls. And each plant adjusts its inner life in ways invisible to the hurried eye but perfectly clear in this slow, dreaming awareness. As you inhale, the air feels heavier with moisture. As you exhale, the forest exhales too, a soft release of oxygen and warmth into the night. You move between trees and feel their presence not as silent sentinels but as listening beings. Each trunk holds memories of the day's light, of the animals that brushed past, of the rain that once fell and seeped into its bark. Their roots feel your steps as vibrations, gentle, rhythmic. The ground carries these signals like messages through soil and stone. Imagine placing your hand against the bark of a tree. Its surface is cool, textured, alive. Beneath your palm, cells shift with the slow pulse of sap. The tree feels the warmth of your skin. Not the way humans feel, but with a sensitivity to temperature and pressure that is subtle but undeniable. Plants respond to this warmth by adjusting tiny openings in their surface, the stomata widening or narrowing in ways that help them balance the gift of carbon dioxide with the preservation of water. Even in your stillness, you are part of their sensing. Part of their world. Part of the quiet they listen to as closely as night listens to wind. You drift deeper into this sensory realm. A vine nearby turns its tendril just slightly, as though reaching toward a new direction. Its movement is slow, but intentional. Plants move with patience. Leaves tilt toward music in experiments where gentle tones vibrate through the air. Roots navigate toward the promise of water as though guided by intuition. Flowers pulse with electrical signals when touched by pollinators who visit them only briefly. The entire forest feels like a web of subtle responses, a choreography where each leaf, each root, each petal moves with the world rather than against it. You walk, or float, slowly between them, your presence merging with the quiet tapestry of their sensations. You feel calmer, softer, as though your own body is learning to sense the way plants do. Not with tension, but with openness. Not with rush, but with receptivity. Not with fear, but with curiosity. Imagine lying down now in a bed of soft ferns. Their fronds curl delicately around your form, not clinging, just sensing. The gentle pressure of your weight changes the way they rest against the ground. They feel you. They adapt to you. They fold slightly under your warmth with a grace that feels like comfort. Above you, flowers that bloom at night open their pale petals to the cool air. Their fragrances float downward, wrapping you in soft sweetness. A moth drifts near, its wings stirring tiny eddies of air. The flowers feel the vibrations and respond, glowing faintly as if welcoming a familiar friend. Everything here is attuned to everything else. Sensation flows not in spikes of intensity but in long, smooth waves that calm the world around them. As these waves move through the forest, they move through you as well, slowing your thoughts, loosening your muscles, settling your mind into a rhythm that feels ancient and deeply peaceful. You breathe, and the plants breathe with you. You listen, and the plants share their quiet. You rest, and the forest feels your rest as another gentle vibration passing through its stillness. In this shared quiet, it becomes clear, plants are not blind, not deaf, not unaware. They feel the world through touch, through scent, through vibration, through the chemistry of air and the whispers of soil. And in this slow, dreamlike understanding, you feel a closeness to every leaf, every root, every stem. Perhaps the forest listens to you too. And from the listening hush of the forest, where leaves feel the night and roots whisper their slow conversations, another pull begins to form, gentle, wide, as though the entire world is inhaling in a deeper, older rhythm. It feels like a tide inside you, a long swell, rising through your quiet, calling you outward from the woods toward a place where green does not grow on branches but floats in currents older than any tree. The air thickens with moisture. The scent shifts, cooler, salted, soft as mist. You hear it before you see it, a distant, steady breathing, waves pulling and returning in slow, endless cycles. You follow the rhythm as though it were a memory you didn't know you carried. The forest thins behind you, its dark silhouettes fading gently into the night. And ahead, the world opens into an expanse of water blending with sky, a boundary dissolved into silver and shadow. You step, or drift, closer to the shore. The sand feels cool, smooth beneath your feet, each grain a tiny remnant of stones worn soft by time's patient hands. The ocean stretches outward, a mirror for the low moon. Waves roll in like slow breaths, their foamy edges glowing faintly as they meet the shore. You stand at the edge of the great water and feel its pulse. Deep, steady, unhurried. A pulse so vast it seems to hold the heartbeat of the world itself. But the ocean has its own forests, not quiet canopies or towering trunks, but drifting worlds of microscopic light. Phytoplankton. The hidden green breath beneath the sea. When you inhale now, the air feels different, there's a softness to it, a freshness like early morning near water. Half of the oxygen in that breath comes from the ocean's invisible gardens, from tiny, glowing beings floating through sunlit waves. You look out and imagine them, billions of tiny cells, drifting upward with the sunlight and sinking downward as evening settles. A soft, vertical tide woven into the sea itself. Each one is a small miracle of light, catching sun with the same quiet grace as leaves do, transforming it into energy that feeds the ocean and the world beyond. Imagine sinking just beneath the surface now, slowly, gently, as though the water is lifting you inward with cool hands. The world becomes muted, wrapped in soft blue tones. The sound of waves dissolves into a low, steady hum, a lullaby hummed by deep water. Light filters downward through the surface, bending and spreading until it becomes a soft, shimmering web. It dances on particles in the water, glimmering on your skin, warming the space around you without heat. In this blue-green glow, you see them, tiny specks of pale radiance drifting like floating dust, alive with quiet purpose. Phytoplankton, the ocean's breathmakers. They rise toward the light with the gentlest motion, their translucent bodies catching photons as though each faint touch of sunlight is a gift meant just for them. Some glow faintly with bioluminescence, tiny constellations opening and closing in slow pulses. Their light is soft, blue like distant stars beneath the waves. You drift nearer and the water cools around your arms, your legs, your chest, a coolness that soothes, calming every breath into long, slow waves. The plankton glow brighter as though responding to your stillness. In their presence, you feel smaller, not diminished, but humbled by the vast, hidden generosity of beings so tiny they could float on a single eyelash. Yet together, they make the air you breathe. Together, they create half the oxygen that fills your lungs with quiet life. You inhale, and the cool air carries whispers from a million drifting beings you will never see, but who sustain you all the same. You exhale, and the water beneath you pulses gently, as if answering in silent recognition. The ocean holds so much breath, so much memory, so much life that moves too slow or too small for waking eyes to notice. And yet here, in this soft, dreamlit moment, you can feel every pulse, every glow, every whisper moving through the water like a quiet symphony. Drift deeper now, not into darkness, but into a place where light becomes softer, more diffused. The water grows cooler around you but never cold, a cradle, not a void. The plankton drift past in shimmering clouds, their movements gentle as falling leaves, their glow pulsing in rhythms that mirror your heartbeat. Larger shapes move past too, kelp rising like pillars from the seafloor, their brown-green ribbons swaying to the deep rhythm of ocean currents. These underwater forests breathe too. Each leaf-like blade reaches upward, drinking in light, swaying with the tide in motions so fluid they feel like dreams made visible. Fish weave through them like sparks of color. Crabs move slowly along the sandy floor. Everything drifts in harmony, guided by currents that pulse like long, rolling breaths. You feel weightless, held in this glowing green quiet beneath the waves. Thoughts dissolve into the cool blue around you. Your breath aligns with the ocean's rhythm, slow, deep, a tide of air matching the tide of water. And in this connection, you sense the great truth that the sea has always carried: life began here. Here in the drifting green light. Here in the warm shallows of ancient oceans that breathed out the oxygen which shaped the world above the water. Every breath you take is a memory of that ancient sea. Every inhalation a quiet echo of light caught by plankton millions of years ago. The ocean is not separate from the forest. It is not separate from you. It breathes with you, through you, within you, a shared rhythm binding water and leaf and lung into one long continuing exhale. As you drift upward again, toward the surface, the water grows brighter. Sunlight spreads in shimmering circles above you, gently calling you back toward air that was shaped by countless drifting gardens beneath the waves. You rise through beams of light that ripple on your skin like warm fingertips, and as your head breaks the surface, the world shifts to a quieter, softer brightness. Waves lap around you with the ease of a heartbeat. The horizon stretches open like a calm breath. The sky above is wide and pale, and the air feels smooth in your lungs. You exhale, and the ocean answers with a soft ripple against the shore. And deep below, the sea dreams in green. And from the drifting green glow beneath the sea, you feel the world draw inward again, as though all of nature is taking a long, slow breath, drawing its energy back into the quiet places where life waits in the soft hush of darkness. The ocean settles behind you into a calm whisper, its waves dissolving into memory. The air grows warmer, drier, tinged with the scent of soil resting beneath night's gentle weight. You step, or drift, onto firm earth once more, feeling the ground welcome you as though you've returned from a long journey back to a familiar rhythm. The land is quiet now. Quiet in a way only twilight can shape, a hush that gathers around stones, around roots, around the soft curve of sleeping hills. In this hush, you feel another presence waiting beneath your feet, small, unassuming, yet ancient in its wisdom. Seeds. The keepers of beginnings. The guardians of quiet time. The dreamers beneath the soil. You sense them there, nestled in the earth like tiny hearts. Held in warm, dark hands. They do not move, yet in their stillness lies the memory of entire forests. You take a slow breath, and the air deepens with the earthy scent of dormant life holding its patient silence. Seeds sleep with a depth that feels almost sacred. They rest in darkness, wrapped in soil that holds the coolness of night and the faint warmth left behind by the vanished sun. You kneel down, touching the ground gently, and you imagine the life beneath your fingertips. A seed smaller than your fingernail holds within it a complete blueprint, the shape of leaves, the stretch of stem, the spiral of roots that will someday anchor it to the world. But not now. Not yet. Seed time is slow. Seed time is deliberate. Seed time is a quiet waiting until the world is ready to welcome new life. Your breath slows to match that patience. Each inhale feels like soil opening slightly, softening with moisture. Each exhale feels like the gentle press of darkness holding the seeds in a calm embrace. Dormancy. A pause woven into life itself. A rest so complete it becomes a kind of protection. Seeds enter this sleep not because they are weak, but because they are wise. They know that the world does not always offer what is needed: warmth, light, rain, safe soil. So they wait. They wait for the perfect alignment of temperature, moisture, season. A harmony that the seed can sense in ways quiet and profound, tiny receptors measuring the world through changes in chemistry and hints of light filtered through soil as fine as dust. And when the moment comes, they wake. Slowly. Gently. As though stretching after a long dream. You imagine now the moment a seed opens, its shell splitting by just a breath, a small, pale root reaching downward into darkness without fear. It reaches not with sight, but with instinct. It reaches because it trusts the memory of its beginning. You feel that trust inside your own breath as the night deepens around you. A trust in stillness, in waiting, in knowing that some beginnings must be slow. Imagine a seed resting through winter, frost above, ice in the soil, snow layering the world in soft whiteness. The seed remains untouched, unrushed. Its heart beats in molecules, in faint chemical whispers that tell it, not yet. Wait. And then spring comes, not suddenly, but with small gestures, a warmer morning, a softer rain, a longer ray of sun. The seed feels these changes more precisely than any clock. It feels the soil warm beneath melting snow. It feels moisture rise in gentle waves. It feels the air brighten in shades of gold. And slowly, it begins to wake. The root unfurls first, growing downward into the dark with calm certainty. Then a tiny shoot stirs upward, pressing against the soil like a whispered thought seeking the sky. You imagine the moment it breaks the surface, a delicate push, a shift in the earth, a small split of soil as the green tip meets the waiting air. This is birth in the quietest form. No cry, no fanfare, just emergence. A new life rising from darkness into light. Your breath mirrors it, slow, gentle, each inhale lifting slightly, each exhale softening you deeper into the night. Seeds carry memory from the plants before them, the shape of their leaves, the color of their blossoms, the length of their roots. Memory not in thoughts, but in patterns, in the language of DNA written across time. And as you sit or lie in the quiet earth-scented dark, you feel the comfort of that continuity. Life rests, waits, and begins again. Always. Endlessly. Gently. You imagine a field filled with seeds sleeping under layers of soil, thousands, millions, each one holding its own version of spring. Some will wake soon. Some next year. Some in 10 years. Some will wait 100 seasons before rising. Their patience is a kind of wisdom, the understanding that time is not something to hurry through, but something to lean into. The night deepens further, wrapping itself around your body like warm soil. Stars shimmer overhead like distant seeds of light waiting to open in the dark sky. A breeze moves gently over the field, carrying the scent of cool earth and the promise of quiet renewal. You breathe it in, and the calm settles inside your chest like a seed finding its place in perfect soil. In this stillness, you understand that rest is not an ending. It is a beginning waiting in silence. And just as seeds remember the sun even in deepest darkness, some part of you remembers warmth, remembers growth, remembers the light that will return. Even now, as thoughts slow into softness, as your breath becomes a steady, earth-deep rhythm, there is a quiet strength settling within you, the strength of waiting, of trusting, of being held in the gentle dark. All around you, beneath the soil's soft weight, life sleeps with purpose. Life waits with patience. Life dreams of sun and rain and open skies. And in the dark, the seed remembers the sun. And from the soft memory of the seed, held gently in the dark earth with the promise of light unfolding somewhere in its quiet center, you feel the world around you begin to settle into the deepest calm of all. It is the calm that lives beneath movement, beneath seasons, beneath the rise and fall of leaves and the turning of oceans. A calm woven into the very rhythm of life, the green dream that holds every breath this planet has ever taken. You rest inside that dream now. Not above it, not outside it, but within it, as though the entire world has drawn its great breath inward and made room for you to be still. The air around you feels soft enough to touch with your thoughts. Warm enough to wrap around your shoulders like a blanket of summer dusk. Cool enough to soothe the spaces inside you that needed a gentler pace. Above, the sky stretches wide and open, not dark, not bright, but glowing with the faintest green-blue shimmer, the color of life seen from a great distance, the color of earth as it turns slowly through the quiet of space. That glow feels as though it lives inside your own breath now, a reminder that everything you've wandered through in this dream is part of you in some quiet way. You felt the whisper of leaves, the glow of sunlight moving through veins, the careful touch of roots mapping darkness, the slow, patient pulse that plants use to measure time. You've drifted through flowers that speak in scent and color, listened to forests that hear without ears, floated with plankton that turn light into breath, rested with seeds that trust the long night as part of their becoming. And now, in this final resting place, you feel all those moments gather around you like soft threads woven into one long exhale. The world quiets. Your thoughts loosen like petals at dusk. Your breath stretches into something slow and whole. You are not separate from this green dream. You are held by it, softly, completely, as though every plant you have drifted past has extended a quiet hand to steady your heart. Imagine the entire earth breathing now, oceans exhaling mist into sky, forests releasing cool vapor into warm air, grasslands sighing as wind flows over them, mountains stirring clouds along their ridges. All of it, all at once, moving in the same rhythm that your breath now follows. Inhale, the world drawing energy toward its core. Exhale, the world releasing light, oxygen, warmth, and rest back into the sky. This is the green dream that holds you, a planet breathing through leaf and water and seed, and you breathing with it without effort, without thought, without separation. You feel this unity as a soft heat in your chest, as though a small flame burns there gently, warm enough to glow, soft enough not to wake you. Every breath you take is partnered with countless leaves opening and closing across forests and fields. Every exhale drifts into the air that plants will drink with the next dawn. It is a loop, endless and kind, a cycle that remembers you even when you forget your own calm. You imagine this cycle now, spreading outward from your resting place into all the spaces you have wandered tonight. Light settling into leaves. Leaves lifting breath into the air. Air drifting into lungs. Lungs releasing warmth into night. Night carrying seeds and dreams and soft beginnings back into the soil. Everything connected. Everything breathing. Everything part of one rhythm that flows through you with each inhale, each exhale, like a tide settling into perfect stillness. The world feels slower now, not because time has changed, but because you have. Your breath is shallow in the gentlest way, like the first flutter of a leaf at dawn. Your heartbeat is soft, steady, unhurried. Thought dissolves into simple presence, like morning mist fading into sky. Even the memory of movement fades, forests, flowers, oceans, seeds, yet they remain within you as quiet imprints, the way sunlight leaves its warmth long after it slips beyond the horizon. This journey was never about learning, not fully. It was about remembering that life moves gently, that growth can be slow, that rest is not a pause but a part of the cycle, that you are held by a world that breathes around you and through you. The plants you pass do not strain to live. They trust. They wait. They open when the world is ready to hold them. They close when they need to rest. They let light shape them without force. They let darkness cradle them without fear. And in this soft quiet, you feel the same permission settle into your bones, permission to rest, to slow, to soften, to let the world hold you gently the way roots hold soil, the way sunlight holds leaves, the way ocean light holds plankton in its shimmering currents. The air around you warms again, just slightly, as though the earth itself leans closer to wrap you a little more fully in its long green dream. You breathe once more, a slow, drifting breath, and the world breathes with you, from forests, from oceans, from roots, from seeds, from every living thing that shares this rhythm. There is no need to do anything now. No need to rise. No need to think. Your body knows the language of rest that plants have spoken for millions of years. Let yourself drift in that language, in warmth, in quiet, in breath that feels ancient and familiar. Above you, the sky grows softer, as if the stars themselves are dimming their brightness to lull the world into deeper sleep. The blue-green glow of the earth's dream settles into your chest, a gentle light you will carry long after this night. You are part of this world, part of its breath, part of its endless green dreaming. And as your mind falls toward rest, your breath loosens into the final, quietest rhythm, a rhythm that carries all the warmth, all the softness, all the calm you have gathered through this journey. You are safe. You are held. You are part of the living world that sings in chlorophyll and ocean light and the hearts of seeds waiting beneath soil. Let yourself drift now, into the deep quiet where thoughts dissolve into the gentle pulse of life around you. The world dreams in green, and you are part of its breath.